I used the word joint venture where we repurpose it, which officially it's not a joint venture. So what I mean by that is working with friends and family, for example, wouldn't be a definition of a joint venture where PS 13/3, feel free to write that down if that's useful for you, legislation around joint ventures, formal joint ventures, is important that you adhere to it if you want to be on the right side of what you're doing with joint ventures. So that is your formal joint ventures. However, personally, the way we look at joint ventures, which is not the technical term, is like I say, people that you know, so your friends and family, our inner circle as we call it, and also simple loans. So simple loans isn't technically a joint venture, but in terms of doing projects and so on, that's another way that we will look at working and getting money into a project. So we have 3 ways. So think business, doesn't matter who it is, and the closer the friend, the more you think business. When I say business, it comes back to the point Richard mentioned, it's all about communication. So what do we mean by that? Well, first of all, you assess the deal, you scrutinize it, make sure that the numbers absolutely work from day one, making sure that you've got a contingency there added in. If it's a development, it's not 10%, it's 20%. And I come across so many people that get their build costs wrong. They're so optimistic with their build costs. So make sure that you've got your numbers right from the beginning. Once you've got all of that, and you've got a project that's relevant, then really find out what your other joint venture partner actually really wants from you. What is it that they really want? Because you might assume, and I've been through this, yeah, assuming that, oh, they'd want this, but they actually want something different. So why don't you just ask them, what do you actually want? What's important for you for this joint venture partner? And then deliver that. And when you're communicating, you're keeping these aspects in mind. You've got the right project, you're delivering what the other person wants for them, and your communication is key. So that communication, what I personally find is people like voice. People like that you pick up the phone and you speak to them, because email can be quite cold, can't it? You want to say something in a certain way, yet it can be misconstrued in a different way, can't it, on an email? So with the joint ventures that people that I work with, it's a case of touching base with them, not too frequently. Now be aware of this as well, because your time's important. You don't want your joint venture partner on your back all the time as well. So you put in some parameters for them. And the parameters I found that work are typically a conversation bi-monthly. So typically every 2 weeks, you're having a conversation with them. You give them 20 minutes of your time, 30 minutes of your time. I was doing this in the car before I actually got here with a joint venture partner. So 20 minutes, just relieving any issues they've got, anything they want to go over, just making sure that they're crystal clear, we're on the same page. But don't do it every day, 2 weekly. Within that, you may find that you might want to communicate by email on a weekly basis.
In a nutshell, 2 or more people involved in a partnership to do something, a specific property project. It's not normally a partnership is something that goes on for a longer time, but a joint venture generally is specific to one particular deal. And then when that deal is finished, then the joint venture folds and they're free to go off and do it again if it was a success. If not, then obviously they won't. Joint ventures are sold as a way of people who don't have money getting hold of money, but it's a lot more than that. It's also a way for people with money to go and leverage the time and the abilities of other people. It's also a great way to share skills and talents and attributes that we don't all have all of the attributes that we need for this business. You don't have to go off and learn them, but you can leverage other people's time and get it that way. And it's a much better way because you just get to do a whole lot more business. One answer is that it reduces your risk, reduces your overall risk, because you take one of your fixed costs out of it. In fact, generally speaking, your biggest fixed cost is the cost of the finance, if you're getting finance. So that cost is gone, all right, from the whole project. You don't have to pay that cost. It does mean you have to share the profit, but the profit that's left over is that much bigger. So it basically de-risks the whole project. The other reason is that joint venture partners can make quick decisions in a way that banks can't. And if you go to a bank, even if you go to a bridging lender, they're going to take days as opposed to minutes to think about it. I've got joint venture partners who will make a decision within minutes, Just like, give me the numbers, okay, we'll do it, or what about this, might take a bit longer.
If you've got someone, as I understand it, a high net worth individual who's earning 100k, that's 100k gross income, they are a high net worth individual, so you can work with them within PS 30/3. If they have assets, or I believe it's over 250,000, liquid assets of 250,000, liquid meaning, so you could have equity in a property which is not your main residence, doesn't have to be property, might be art, might be something else. You know, as long as there's liquid assets available of that 250k, or can be liquidized, so 250,000, that's also okay, so you can work with them. And if someone is a sophisticated investor, so now sophisticated investor, you've got to think about the project that you're thinking to bring to that person. So if, for example, it's a HMO, and they've already done a number of HMOs, they've dealt with HMO before, then they will be classed as a sophisticated investor for that type of project. So you do need to be aware of the project.
Right, we start with your heads of terms, which is basically how you see the project progressing. It's just a very brief outline of what you want to do, how you're going to pay for it, what you're going to do with the project, how long it's going to run for, probably, if there's any additional funding, any additional people that are going to be involved, how you're going to dispose of the asset, or if you're going to keep the asset. Basically, it just outlines it, and then I just send it off to my lawyer.
Well, as we know, traditional finance is very cost effective right now, isn't it? So if you can get it, that's brilliant. So that's a good starting point. Typically, a joint venture partner is going to usually want more, depending on how professional is the wrong word, how experienced they are as an investor, how savvy they are. You know, who is it? Is it your mum? You know, or is it a VP? So, gauging that. So they're going to want a little bit more. So that's something to be aware of. So traditional finance usually is the most cost-effective point to start with. What we could also do is take on simple loans. Now, simple loans doesn't actually come into joint ventures. But you remember me earlier on, I was mentioning that we call them joint ventures. Remember I was mentioning earlier on, yeah? Simple loans. So simple loans coming in. What that means is they're lending you money. It's not directly linked to a project. But you're letting them know you're a property investor, you're a developer, here's some projects I happen to have done, will you lend me some money? So that's what it is. So it's a loan note, if you like. They're lending you the money. It's an agreement between you and that person over a period of time. Could be 1 year, could be 364 days, so you pay no tax for them. And in that period, you borrow the money, whatever that period is, and you do as you wish with that money. Of course, they may know that you are investing it in property, which they probably won't know, won't they? Because you communicated what you do. But that's a loan. That is not PS 30/3. So you're okay. So they're the ones I personally prefer. Also, let me add one more for you. If you have a limited company, now people do it the wrong way around. They tend to first find a joint venture partner, then create a limited company. That is not allowed in PS 30/3. However, if you have a limited company already, that sources property or works with people, they've created a limited company already, then you can absolutely say, we have a limited company that does this. Now let's have a private conversation, and then you're allowed to speak to them. This is a matter of doing the right thing the right way around.